The Floor Academy podcast is sponsored by Trelama, the trade labor marketplace, where businesses can find skilled trade labor, such as flooring installers, and where flooring installers and other skilled tradespeople can find permanent or project work. You can set up your profile at trelama.com, TRALAMA.com, or download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play. And remember, Trelama is always free for skilled tradespeople. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hedin, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. We are here to talk with flooring professionals from all across the country about the issues that matter to you. This week's guests are Jose and Daniel Gonzalez and Crystal Sims. Jose and Daniel own Preferred Flooring in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which they started in 2010. In 2012, they brought in their sister Crystal to help them as well. Now Crystal runs crews, while Daniel works on his own projects or runs another crew, and Jose handles the estimates and a lot of the office work. Listen in to find out how these three siblings managed to run a successful business together. Is there sibling rivalry and backstabbing? Find out now. All right. Jose, are you on the line?
I am.
Crystal, are you on the line?
I am.
Daniel, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Okay, I don't know how we're going to manage three people, but I've done it before. We're going to make this work. We have the owners of Preferred Flooring with us. So everyone give me like a quick bio real quick. Jose, we'll start with you, then we'll go to Crystal, then we'll go to Daniel. Daniel's returning guest from the Installer of the Year competition at Surfaces in January. But yeah, let's get a quick bio on everybody, kind of how you got into flooring and where you're going with it. You know, just a quick couple minutes, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Name's Jose Gonzalez. Got into flooring in January 1998. I started out as a 2-week temporary. I just got fired / quit from a job in a restaurant. Brother-in-law said, "Do you want to help us out for 2 weeks?" I said, "Sure." 2 weeks turned into 2 months. 2 months turned into 6 months. 6 months turned into 20 plus years.
That's
like really how
like
it happened. And along the way, I worked well with my hands, and I picked it up fairly quick, and it got better than the guys who were teaching me. And I seemed to have dragged my family into it as well. So, long story short, accidental flooring guy. I'm still doing it because I learned how to do it, and I learned how to do it well. And I like to be better than the guys that are around me or teaching me. It's always a competition, right? So you're always trying to move to the next level. If you're never trying to get better, then you're not really trying at all. So that's my story. That's my bio. That's how it started.
Love it. Crystal.
Crystal, I've been doing flooring for 8 years now. Started out just as a temporary, just like most of the people. Lost my job in the summer of 2012. It was June 2012. And they asked me if I wanted to come work because they were really busy. And I guess the rest is history. I've been here for 8 years. Crew leader now. Sometimes they force me to do things I don't want to do, but I learn and keep it moving.
All right. And Daniel, real quick, how'd you get in?
I also started as a 1-day temporary. I started right out of middle school, so it was the summer right after 8th grade. They were like, "Hey, we're doing a bunch of demo. Come take care of the trash." I was like, "All right." Went in there, and then just never stopped working since then. Every summer break up until graduation, and then graduated on a Wednesday and started full time on a Monday.
Okay, so I gotta ask.
I do apologize, guys. My bad. That's all my bad.
Yeah, it's all his fault.
Yeah. Well,
the leader.
So all of you started as a temp. Now, Jose, you started as a temp under your brother-in-law. So was that his company or?
No. I started working with a subcontractor. It was Quality Flooring, I believe. It was different. 20 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm.
started, I don't know if I can say names or anything like that. I don't know if they prefer me not to, but I started working with them, and it was just one of those things where I was introduced to a world that I never knew. All I knew was restaurants at that time, and general labor as far as like yard work, and that was my first taste of actual like commercial construction. And the guys there, you had one guy who was in flooring 20 years when I started, another guy who was his brother. They were business partners who was in general trades, who combined, and they started their flooring thing. And, we were learning together. And then they ended up separating, and I split ways, and I went with the younger of the two brothers and helped him build his business a little bit. And, I was let's call it a 1099 employee. That's what I was. So I started like that. And from there, it just progressed. I just started getting better at everything, learning it and wanting to learn it is really the biggest thing. Is I wanted to know how.
Yeah.
I wanted to know why things had to go in a certain way, why other projects were failing, why those installers were faster than us, why those installers were slower than us, why these other guys were highly sought after and we weren't, stuff like that. I bounced around a little bit after a couple of years working with the subcontractor. Worked for a company hourly, and let's call it a legit company, like a W-2. That led to bigger things. I ended up traveling the U.S. for a company out of Oklahoma for a while. And then I just came back home. I just couldn't do the traveling anymore. Came back home. Through this whole thing, I've had three separate companies of my own. I've had Under Your Feet installation, I was kind of forced to start that one. The next one was J&M Flooring. That was me and my partner dissolved our partnership. And then I put all that on the back burner, took all my employees to another company because we were slow. And then
it was the recession.
The recession put us in that. And they were willing to hire everybody and myself. And I was responsible for their livelihood. So, I took a significant pay cut from what I was making just so my guys could have a job.
Yeah.
I worked back there for a few years, and then one thing led to another, and all I wanted was a little bit more money an hour and some more vacation, and they said no, so I had to put my 2 weeks in. I mean, I know what I was making them a year. I wasn't that type of installer. I know the numbers. I know how to play with numbers, and so they let me go after I put my 2 weeks in. And then a couple of days after that, they let my brother go because they pretty much squeezed out of him that if I did find work, that he would come along with me. So I put in my 2 weeks on a Monday. I got let go on a Tuesday. We had a van on a Wednesday, and I had my first project as preferred flooring that Friday. It was kind of a fast track type deal, and that's kind of what started and put us where we're at right now. I mean, there's a lot of steps in between there that I'm skipping, but I just wanted to save you guys all the boring talk and try to let somebody else speak at their turn.
Okay. So, what I'm trying to put together is you were hired as a temp with some other companies. Eventually you formed your own companies. And then, so at what iteration did Crystal come in and what iteration did Daniel come in? Like, it was preferred flooring around when they started, or like when did everyone kind of get involved?
Like I said, I started out of middle school, so I started with the same guys that my brother started with.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when they split up, those brothers that were partners, they split up, and for I think a summer or two, I was working with one brother while he was working with one brother. And then after graduation, we were working with the same guy. And then the recession hit. Well, then he started his own thing. Then the recession hit, and then we worked for the same company. I became a crew leader there. And we were, running both crew leaders over there up until it was time to part ways when he was crying and didn't get his vacation.
It's one of those deals where you got to know your worth and you got to know your value, right?
Correct.
And it was one of those things too, is yourself, that you have a certain level of intelligence and you feel when you're not being challenged anymore. And that's really what it amounted to is you know that you can offer more than what they view you as. So you try to get that from them and try to help them grow. And when they don't allow that for you, you take other avenues. And, you know, and to get to the point where you said when Preferred Flooring was created is the only reason we created it and the name came from is everyone preferred Daniel or myself to be on their projects. They always requested us by name when we had those contractors that were reoccurring customers. They said, yeah, I want Daniel or Jose. I prefer to have them on my projects. And that's where the name came from. It's like,
that's awesome.
It's just like Preferred Flooring, man. People prefer us. It doesn't make sense to name it anything else.
No, I like it. Okay. So you guys have gone out on your own. Crystal's not necessarily in the picture yet, cause that was like 2009, 2010 that all this is happening. So she came in a couple years later.
2 years later.
Okay, so
I waited till they got the ride-on machine. Smart.
Yeah,
there you
go. when Jose and I started, we were actually it was just us for probably a good, I don't know, at least 6 months.
It was about a year.
6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And it was like working 7 days a week.
Yeah, you traded in not getting vacation for no vacation ever.
You're right.
No.
We actually started it right before my son was born. So it was like, that was a motivation to never stop moving. I had to do something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how did you set up the business originally? Because obviously you stayed at the company for a couple of weeks before you left because Jose had put in his 2 weeks notice and you hadn't gone with him.
We actually, it was him on a Monday, me on a Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, they fired him. They put him in a corner and said, "Are you leaving with your brother?" And finally he got mad and said, "Yes, dude, I'm going to leave with him." And he asked me, "He's my brother."
Yeah.
And they said, okay, give me your keys. You're done.
So we just formed a DBA at first.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's what he's had in the past, so he was familiar with that. So we just formed a DBA, and we were 50-50 partners. We still are 50-50 partners.
Okay. So, well, and now your sister's come along, and she's leading a crew. So you two are still 50-50 partners, and she's purely an employee. Does she get any say? Like
she's an employee, and she actually does payroll, so she gets more pay than just a regular employee because she's doing another job.
Okay. So it's a family business, but not like I'm not trying to start fights here. I want to figure out the dynamics of how you guys are running it, how everyone's happy with what they're doing and how their percentage works and things like that. That's really what I'm after. So Crystal,
okay.
Why do you want to be a partner in the business? Does that interest you, or are you happy like you just get to collect your paycheck, you clock in from 9 to 5 and you're done? How does that work for you? Where's this all kind of play out for you?
Right now I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I'm learning underneath them. You know, they take the time to teach me the business aspect. So I'm good with leading crews right now and still learning the process. You know, they're 10 years deeper than I am, so I know that one day I will eventually get there. But for now, I'm good with learning and leading the crews.
See, it's nice when people know what they want and are okay with it. That makes things much easier. So, Jose, what's your plan? Like, what's your vision for the company? And where you want to take it, grow it, and like how do your brother and sister fit into that for you?
So the vision for the company, sometimes it's clear as day, sometimes it's a little dark, right? You want so much for it, but you know there's a lot of the in betweens that you just don't know until you hit that speed bump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we learned recently over the past couple of years that you got to build the business like you want to sell it tomorrow. So we've kind of changed a little bit as far as the aspect of where we're going. We're essentially we built a brand, right? Everybody knows who we are around here in the area. Mm-hmm. They do use us for a set of standards, if you will, and that's where we came up with a little slogan. But where I want to go is, I'd like to be able to be one of the more reliable. I don't want to say the bigger companies, because the bigger you get, the more headache you have, right? But I want to be one of the more reliable, one of the best sought after companies as far as our installation abilities. Mm-hmm. That's where I want to go. What is that going to do for us financially? I don't know. What do we need financially to do something like that? I don't know. At this point, we're just taking baby steps towards that, and that's really all we can do. I said at one point we did try to get too big too quick, and we had many crews going, we had many vans going, and the workmanship went down the drain. Our profit margin shrunk so much, and we had to take a couple steps back and rethink about how we structured our business, right? Like this is not what we do, right? I don't like going back to a job. I don't get paid for that. My guys get paid for that. I don't. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't make me look good. So I think as far as a goal, I'd like to be able to maintain some type of reputation for the company as far as us being one of the quote unquote higher end installation outfits in the commercial industry. But at the same time, I like to gain a little bit more respect on the sales side as well, which the bid market is horrendous over here. The negotiated market for us is actually fairly simple as long as people know us and know what we're doing, because some of our numbers don't gel with what they're used to seeing. Yeah. But when they know what they get behind those numbers, and they know the reassurance that they can have, and then it changes their mindset a little bit. But goals are to keep growing. Do I want to double in size? I don't know yet. I got to find those right people in order for me to comfortably have that vision and be comfortable with it and moving forward with it. Do you want to increase the sales? Yes, I do. To be self-sustained is anybody's who's a business owner should be anybody's potential goal, right? You're not dependent on anybody to put food on your table. It's all from within, and that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That'd be an awesome feeling to be able to do that. But for now, everybody gives us work, and a lot of the work we get is negotiated, and I can't complain about that. I like to keep our clients happy, the contractors happy, the flooring contractors happy, and potential and future clients happy as well. We're just a little bit different, I guess, on that. Am I going to be rich and die with a bunch of money doing this flooring thing? Chances are that's probably pretty slim. But we're making a living right now. I got food on the table. Mm-hmm. I have the same struggles as anybody else does. Same worries, but it's one of those things, man. It's feast or famine over here.
I think you can retire rich. You have a good head on your shoulders. It sounds like you got business plans. You're looking at how you make more money, do higher quality work. You're going to be okay. Daniel, where does all that land for you? Because you're 50-50 partners. So is that what you envision? Like, are these talks that you guys have and you're on the same page all the time, and this is the direction it's going? Does that
we actually we feed off each other with ideas and how we can grow and who we have to start talking to in order to get there. But I mean, the goal down the road for me is to have a self-driving machine, right? And something that I rarely have to touch. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to be able to train people to install as good as I do. So that way it's like, boom, you go here, you get the job done, and it's just like I was there, That's why we came up with the slogan, setting the standard, one installation at a time. And I want to have people working for us that have that same vision. That's why everyone, we call my sister Crystal, baby sister. So that's how we're going to refer to her in this. That's why we have baby sister. We also call her baby snitcher because you can't do anything around her because she will tell us.
She will tell on you quick too.
Oh man,
somebody's got to keep track of all the guys.
Well, and so I think that's an interesting dynamic. So Crystal, you're in a position where one, obviously you're female, and so that puts you in a minority in a field that's male dominated. But from what I'm told, you should have entered the competition this year, and you would have cleaned the floor with Daniel. And so, supposedly your skills are far superior to his. And do you have trouble like leading the crews? Are they intimidated by you? Does that lead to any issues for you?
I think in the beginning when I first became a crew leader, because my best friend actually works with us. We've been friends for 20 plus years. And I wouldn't say that he was intimidated or I was intimidated. He was just like, you're in a higher role and I don't want to listen to you. But now we treat it as more of a partnership. So like him and I are on a job together and we try to get on the same page, much like Jose and Daniel. But I don't feel like I've ever had a problem being a woman in the field. I'm fairly nice unless you rub me the wrong way, and then I can be pretty mean.
Fair enough.
And I keep trying to talk Daniel. I'm going to talk Daniel into competing against me one year in surfaces.
Well,
then we'll see who the real installer is.
Let's do it. Let's do it next year.
You both got to enter and get accepted, so that's between.
We're going to enter the same project,
CFI
so that way.
That's funny because you both work on it.
Yeah, I really feel like I might be a little further ahead in my techniques now because I am learning from Jose and Daniel. They took me under their wing and they knew a lot at that point already, so they are teaching me the correct methods from the start.
And I think that makes a huge difference. And I'll give that women have a much better attention to detail than men. Like,
oh yeah,
I can agree to that.
It's funny that guys have traditionally done all these trades for years and years and years, and they're looked at as fine craftsmen. And like, we do a great job. But I've talked to a lot of guys that have hired women and like single moms and stuff like that, and all of them say they knock it out of the park every time. So. It doesn't surprise me to hear that, you might pay a little bit better attention or do something a little bit better than them, because at some point they're going to get frustrated and be like, it's good enough.
She actually scored higher on her welds at Floored-U cert than we did.
See?
And she used that. She's been talking. She probably still talks about it sometimes.
I do.
Too funny. Now, obviously, Jose, you taught Daniel, and then both of you taught Crystal. So
that's kind of that's a gray area right there, right? Because a lot of the things that me and Daniel learned, we did learn together. I mean, I brought some knowledge because we ran separate crews at the same company for a while.
Okay.
And he wasn't he wasn't the vinyl guy. I was the vinyl guy. He hated sheet vinyl. He hated resilient, and I liked it from the start. But it's just a matter of Daniel's the research guy, and I'm the let's just do it. Let's go. Let's do it. Daniel's like, let me research it. He brings all the technical knowledge to it, and I just bring all the all right, let's do it, and I make sense of it as I go. But no, it started with whatever I learned, he was learning, and then it built on that. That's what it is. Like if you were teaching me something, you would teach me, you'd show me what you know, and then I would modify it to make sense for me, and then I would either get better at it or get worse, depending on how much I actually liked it. So, we're all in it together, man. And whatever I learn, he learns. Whatever he learns, she learns, and vice versa. It's like a nice little triangle there, where bouncing ideas and skills off each other. Well, I don't get to go in the field anymore. Daniel kicked me out of the field, by the way. I only get to go in every now and then, but even when I do, it's still got it.
Well, somebody's got to land those jobs. Jeez. So let's go there. So what's everybody's role? Okay, so you've been kicked out of the field. So what are you doing from day-to-day operation standpoint?
Day-to-day for me is I come to the office. I do a lot of the estimating, a lot of the bids. A little overwhelmed. I do all the site visits. I try to make sure that everybody has all their ducks in a row, so that way there's not a lot of communication on their plates. I try to make sure that materials where it needs to be. I can't really. I do a lot. So I'm kind of the behind the scenes guy, right?
Okay.
And the estimates and the bids, that right there, that's in on its own, man. I'm like, we're working with Measure right now, and I've gotten fairly good at that. But it's trying to find balance between keeping everybody happy and picking up our own new clients or keeping other clients happy. And the scheduling, I just looked over at my board. The scheduling proves to be very difficult at times, but we'll make it happen.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But that's it. And then we have some shared responsibilities in the office. Like whenever I can't get to some invoicing or something like that, Daniel does it. He's the one who showed me how to do it. I will admit, I am probably one of the most computer illiterate people you will ever meet. But Daniel just showed me some basics and said, "All right, here you go," and stuck me in the office, and I just had to learn. So I'm one of those people. I'll go home every day and mess with it until I understand it and learn it. And if I get stuck, then I'll ask for help.
Well, and it takes drive. Like, ambition is great, but that's only going to, talking about your dreams isn't going to get anywhere. You've got to have the drive, and you're putting in the time and effort to get to where you want to be. So that's going to make a huge difference. Daniel, why did you kick your brother out of the field as opposed to, if you understand the computers better, why would you kick your brother out of the field and you stay in the field?
Because he's old, man. No, he started, having back problems, and there was actually one day we were working together, and I was walking behind him, and his I think it was his left shoulder was like 2 inches lower than his right shoulder.
Oh, yeah. Pretty bad.
And I was like, man, you need to take a step back and reevaluate being in the field.
Okay. So I mean, you still
I've
care
had
about
back
family
issues for a while. Yeah, we're still family.
Okay, so Daniel, what are you doing in the field? So if you got Jose running the office and doing the estimates and invoicing people, so the cash is coming in, which is great.
Right.
So what are you pulling?
I really don't do anything anymore. I just hang out all day and
Post on Facebook.
Stuff. Post on Facebook. So I run the social media.
Okay.
I run the social media. I do the website. That's pretty much it. That's all I do now. No. I handle pretty much all the ordering anytime we need new garments and stuff like that, and I'll help out with purchase orders and stuff when I can, and invoicing. I do all the receivables, so any payments that come our way.
Yeah.
I also do the payables. So I'm handling any money that's coming in and out.
Okay.
And I'm reconciling the bank accounts and making sure everything adds up.
Yeah.
The things that me and you talked about before when you told me you just need to hire a bookkeeper, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to find balance, but if you have too many hands in the same pot, then you don't really know where you're at. So there are some things that I do that Daniel just won't touch because then unless I ask for help, and there's things he does that I won't touch because we don't want to mess up anybody else's organization. There's a systematic order that in our brain that makes sense to us on something that we have to do that's on our plate from day in and day out. As soon as somebody else does something like that, it throws it out of whack. That was on my schedule for tomorrow. Now that's not it. I got to replace it with this, but now I'm moving my days around. Just stuff like that. So.
Yep. No, I get it. So, Dan, you're not in the field too, or are you?
I am in the field. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you're still in the field working, and you have all that as responsibility
I don't
as well.
do anything.
Yeah.
But, so
I had to go help him with his job today for a couple hours. Just want to throw that out there.
He went and got me a bucket of water.
And now look, his shoulder's 2 inches lower. Way to go! What a jerk!
I know, thanks, man.
Right.
Oh man.
So I'm in the field. I'll go where needed, lead jobs. Go in there and help whenever I can.
Well, so are you full time in the field still, and you do everything after hours, or are you okay? And so are you leading your own crew, or do you just
bring my computer, iPad with me, and there's sometimes where he's like, "Hey, I need you to get on here and check this out, or something's going on." So I need to be able to, at the drop of a hat, and just go fix stuff sometimes or explain things.
Okay.
A lot of times I'm on the road, so I need to be able to have that access for him too. It's not too safe to try to send files or find information in
While
the
you're
club
driving?
when I'm driving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just
No, that makes sense. So are you leading a crew, or are you just going and like, so is Crystal like over you in the field and you're just there to like do her bidding?
It depends on if it's her job. It's her job, and tell me what to do.
Okay. So, but then you
If
haven't
if
like,
if I think there's a better way, I'll say it. But pretty much, I don't want to be like, no, this is my job now because I'm here.
Pretty much how it goes, though.
don't do that. don't do that. Don't take her job, man. That's messed up. You go
that
get
still
your own
happened to
job.
me.
No, I'll go on her job, and we kind of already know what each other's doing, right? So, like the other day, it was just me and her working, and I'm like, so what do you want to get done today? And if you ask her, she's gonna do like I used to do. Let's glue everything up, get it all done today. We can get this done by like 3:30, and then she'll get mad at 7:00 because there's still a floor that needs to go down.
Little over
Yep,
ambitious.
that's me. Yes.
That's my thing. I go in the morning. I'm gonna get all this done. Oh man, it's like 2:30. I ain't nowhere close to what I'm supposed to be at. Whoops.
No, I think Daniel and I work really well together. It's, you find someone who you know each other and you both know the process so well that you're just doing the steps, together. And it really matters when you find someone like that to work with.
I agree. Once you work with somebody long enough and you both understand your system and the processes you're all going to go through every time it's the same thing, you can start reading each other and you just kind of like, oh, you're doing that. Okay, I'm going to go jump over here. I'll do this and that. So I just wanted to interject for a minute to let you know that Preferred Flooring is now the exclusive distributor for Stubbi flooring tools in the USA. The Stubbi Mini Cove and Lino Cove are a must-have in the toolbox if you're a resilient installer. Cove floor covering should be supported by a solid backing, and traditional rollers don't allow you to roll the entire radius of the cove. Stubbi rollers feature a dual radius profiled head to ensure full lateral pressure contact during the cove forming. It helps to eliminate the notorious cracks at the cove due to insufficient seating of material to the cove stick. Visit www.preferredflooringmi.com to use coupon code LEARN to get 10% off the Stubbi rollers and join Preferred Flooring in setting the standard one installation at a time. If you want more information, email info@preferredflooringmi.com. Daniel, you can bounce around from job to job. Like you just go where you're needed. You don't lead a crew. You just you go and take care of what's necessary. Right?
Today I worked by myself. So
okay,
That's his best crew.
That's
probably.
My best crew.
Dude, things get done when it's just me there.
That's because your diva attitude. No one wants to put up with it. Installer of the year.
Because he skips lunch.
That
He
too.
does.
I took a lunch today. My wife brought me lunch today, so I didn't have to skip.
Oh, that was nice.
Good job.
That's why it took you so long to do that little bathroom.
All right, so Crystal, you're out in the field, you're leading the crews, and then you're doing the payroll. So what does your view of the company look like to you, and what are you bringing to the table to make it all come home and land so everybody's happy?
I think that I'm just some eyes in the field. I keep track of all the other guys, and because it might be because they're my brothers, I feel so close to the company. Like I treat it like it's my company, and I'm looking out for them. I'm looking out for, all right, guys, you guys are wasting time doing it this way. Let's do it this way. We're trying to make the most of our time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the other question.
Well, all right. So we're all good. Where do you want to see the company go? You feel like you're part owner, even though you're not yet. Where do you want to see them develop this thing go, or what do you want to help develop it into?
I think that we're growing pretty nice right now. I'm pretty sure that Daniel's priming me for him to be in the office permanently. And that's pretty cool. I feel like there's going to be a lot of growth there, a little bit of help for Jose.
Okay.
I feel like we're growing at a decent pace. If we could find people that actually want to work.
Well, isn't that the hardest part?
Especially right now, because you can make so much money on unemployment.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, see, the problem is, so down in Arizona, you cap out at $240 a week. Like unemployment is nothing, right? I love that look, Crystal. So we're FaceTiming with video. So usually I don't have that option, and the face she just made is like, whoa, how do you live on that? Like that's impossible. And that's exactly it. So when the government throws another $600 at you, like, man, I wouldn't work either if I didn't have to.
Yeah, that COVID money is running out though, man. That's what
Yeah.
people don't understand.
Correct.
People are just
you gotta.
Well, they're already gonna have to up our unemployment next year to try and get some back in the reserves.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a whole mess. So let's, you guys, that's an awesome foresight that you're going to be paying more in unemployment so that they can do it. What are you guys doing as a business to prepare for such things? Are you running like capital savings and there's like money sitting in an account all the time in case weird things come up? What kind of steps have you taken as a company to not only make it through this current situation, but be able to weather the storm like long term?
So when COVID happened, I actually was on the computer. Like if I wasn't on a job site, I was on the computer trying to figure out what we were going to do. So I applied for every grant that I came across, and we were pretty lucky and got a grant from our county, and then I got the grant from the SBA.
Mm-hmm.
We got the PPP loan, and then we got the EIDL loan from the SBA as well, to cushion us through everything, just so that way, money was. We did some projections and we were losing, $35,000-$40,000 a month.
Well, you were paying your guys though. You didn't
No,
make them.
that was just we only did a couple essential jobs, and then even we were on unemployment for a while.
Okay.
To try and save whatever money we had in the account, so that way we knew when things were going to start going again, they were going to start going.
we even chose not to pay ourselves for a little bit of that time too. Once we came back, so.
Okay. And I mean, what are those? It's the two of you, and to me, like I could never have a partner. Like it's just not going to work. I'm just too much of an a-hole and set in my ways. And if I don't like it, I'm going to tell you that you're an idiot and walk away. And so I view it as like difficult to come to a conclusion because you're 50-50 partners. So that means you each get 50% of a vote, which means if you each see it a different way, you're at a stalemate. So what are you doing to negotiate like past that and get somebody on your side and find a way to make it work?
We run ideas off each other, right? And sometimes it's like, no, that ain't gonna work.
Yep.
And then, or that's the dumbest thing I ever heard of. But then, you say that, and then you go home, and the more you think about it, you're like, man, he's kind of right about that. So walk in the office the next day, and it's like, you know what, you were right. Let's see if this idea that you have works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. If it does, then awesome.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, then there's the "I told you so" factor. But there's just there's a level of trust there. For one, business partners. Two is we're brothers, right? We're brothers. I mean, I trust my brother. He trusts me, and he knows, and I know that we're not trying to make a decision for us. We're not trying to make a decision that will purposely put us in a bad position.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to make decisions that could elevate us, could put us in a more comfortable area, to put us in a better situation long term. We have the same goals is really what it amounts to. Our visions and our paths might be a little bit different mentally, but we ultimately have the same goals. So it's easy to say no right away, right? No, I don't like your idea. That's so easy. But like you said, you do go home, you think about it. You try to vision what they said, what he said, or what they try to vision what you said, and your cup's either going to be half full or half empty. You can always find something wrong with every idea. it's the hard part is finding what's right with the ideas and then being able to apply that and execute. And I trust Daniel. So a lot of times now when he makes a decision, I just say, okay, I don't like it, but okay, let's see if it works. But we're very honest with each other.
That's how we got into actually classifying our employees like we should. I was like, hey, I think it's about time that we do this. And he was like really, really against it. And we had meetings with some payroll companies and it's just going over the numbers. And he's like, dude, we're going to be spending so much money. I said, yeah, but it's the right thing to do.
Well, correct. You either spend that money now or you get dinged when somebody gets pissed off in the future and you fire them and they go report you and then you're paying back taxes on everybody with penalties. So which way would you rather have it? And it's a problem in the construction industry, like across the board. That actually would probably make a good episode to bring in some people that's happened to and talk to them. But so do you think it's easier or harder because you're siblings? You've both kind of said like you're my brother and I love you and I respect you, but like, does it make it harder at times because you have like sibling rivalry, or you're just like, I don't want to deal with you because you're my brother and you're an idiot? Like, where does that kind of land for you?
No, I think it makes it easier because our family's actually pretty close. We left all that sibling rivalry back when we were younger, and now we're really close with all of our siblings. So. It's us three, and then we have one more.
Well, what the heck? Why is this one? Where's number 4? Why are they left out? What are you doing?
She has 16 kids.
No, not really.
16 kids.
Come on. Come on.
It just didn't work out for her. She went left and we went right. That's really what it is. She's worked with us here and there. Right? Like she came and worked with me, did some base, and all of a sudden she's a flooring installer. She tells everybody, yeah, I install floors. She literally ran base for like 2 days. And when I say ran base, she kicked it out for somebody to install it. So, it's just one of those deals. But I don't think there is any sibling rivalry. What people don't know about us is, I'm the oldest, and then our other sister who's not here is the second oldest. And then me and Daniel have 6 years between us. And then me and baby sister have 9 years between us. So the age gap is really what helps out with the sibling rivalry. We grew up in different times, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So, I got all my bad habits out of the way early. Daniel, I was there through his bad habits, and I was there through baby sister's bad habits. And,
he was actually the reason why we had bad habits.
That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. I'm also part of the reason they have good habits. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little different. Our family dynamic is a little unorthodox when you get our whole family together. Like, we literally don't say, hey, I missed you so much. Oh, I love you. I love you. We say, hey, what's up with that pimple on your nose, dude? Like, man, go do something about your hair. Like, your butt hairs are hanging out of your underwear. That's how we are. That's how we communicate. We like to point out each other's flaws, but we're the only ones allowed to do that. If somebody else does that, we will take offense to that very quickly. It's like, hey, I'm the only one allowed to say that about Daniel. Yeah.
You all have each other's
I'm the only one allowed to say that. Yeah.
I won't take any offense. I like everyone to talk crap about my siblings.
That's funny. All right, Crystal,
gives them more material.
How does it work for you? Because you're kind of the last on board here, and so are you feeling the same way as what Jose and Daniel are saying, or is there some issues sometimes because they're your brothers?
No, sometimes I really, really hate them. No, it's odd how well our family works together. A lot of people are like, I could never work with my siblings. And I think it's because we all are just very goal oriented and we just have the same, goals for the future to be, happy and content. And we just all work really well together. Yeah, I can agree with what they say.
Okay. What's the dynamic like with your employees? Because now you've got 3 family members kind of directing this, and then I'm sure you're a small family company and you try and get that family feeling, but technically they're outsiders. So how does that land with them? Do you feel like, do you do company parties and like get-togethers and things like that to where you invite them in and whatnot?
We do lunches. We take we used to do lunches. This COVID doesn't let us do lunches anymore, really.
Okay.
But we would, every few weeks, we would, hey, let's go have lunch here. Let's go have lunch over here and just, hang out with the guys for a little bit, take an extended lunch and build on that. One of our top guys now is baby sister's best friend. And, I've known him since he was in second grade. So we've had a history with
he's pretty much
with
family.
him already.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty much family. The two newer guys that we brought on, they take direction very well, and they can actually look at some things that they were doing wrong with the companies that they worked for before, and they're like, oh, okay, at least now I'm learning how to do something right, and they try and retain that knowledge. So it's pretty nice. They don't really question anything that any of us say.
Okay. So, I mean, they're open to learning, which is great, because obviously that's super important in this industry, is that you've got to, if you stop learning, you're no longer progressing and you're just repeating experience, which
Correct.
doesn't gain you any. But it sounds like you're trying to take care of them and bring them into the fold and treat them like their family and get them involved, because I've been reading a book lately, and it's talking about how you want a company of owners. If everybody takes ownership of their role and feels like they own part of the company, then they're going to point out like, hey, I'll work harder, or look at this, we can kind of cut costs over here and stuff. So is that the kind of culture you're trying to build, that you want everyone to be
and
part of it?
Yeah, and and the guy's name is Jeremy. So when Jeremy started, he was notorious for saying, but it's not my fault. Like, I know
one of my pet peeves,
that's
man.
messed up right there, but it's not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then just one day, it was like, dude, just all you gotta do is be like, you know what? My bad. I own that, right? My bad.
Accountability, man.
Well, now you're talking about the July book of the month with the extreme ownership with Jocko.
So, there was a turning point where one day he was just like, he messed something up, and he's like, dude, my bad. It's like, all right, go fix it. And ever since that day, it's like something clicked in him, and he's been doing amazing. And I mean, the other guy, we have a pretty new guy right now, and he's in the it's not my fault stage still.
Yeah. There's that. It's not my fault.
You didn't show me how to do it. I screwed it up, but it's not my fault. You weren't there to watch me. Yeah. No,
it goes back to that. I say this all the time. I know people are sick of hearing it, but where perception is 100% truth, right? And that you can't go wrong with that statement. If people perceive it as it's not their responsibility, it's not their fault. You didn't teach me, so how could I know? You didn't show me, how could I know? Is different, because when I was learning, it wasn't like that. It's like, I never said it's not my fault. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know about that. What can I do so this doesn't happen again? Mm-hmm. It's just a different mindset, I guess. Is really what it is. I would never, if I broke something, hey, I'm sorry, Mr. Client, I turned the fan on and it blew your picture down. I'm really sorry. What can I do to make this right for you? Stuff like that. Yeah. It's just a lot easier. It's a lot, even if we were on a job and it was my guys that messed something up, I would never let them take the fall. I would always take the fall for them, because it's just easier that way. I apologize. I don't know how this happened. I didn't see it happen, but I know it was us. What can we do to remedy this? And the not my fault stage is just not really one of the things that I deal with well, because I was never like that.
No, yeah, you gotta instill the right mindsets into people. What's been the hardest part about working with your siblings? Like, what's been the hardest part about working with them and trying to grow this business? What's been like the obstacles to kind of overcome?
For me, it's the scheduling, right? Because working with Daniel, he has kids, I have kids, so the scheduling, because we always seem to get busy around the time when people are wanting to take a vacation with their family. I mean, we know our busy times, right? But the busy times just happen to overlap a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then scheduling around baby sister's kids, when she's giving birth and she's pregnant, you have to schedule to that. You know, that's a different beast in the flooring industry and construction. Is you try and, long story short, is trying to express empathy towards family when they're your younger siblings. That would be the hardest part for me personally. Is like, you have what to do? What? Your stuff isn't as important as mine, and stuff like that. But that's not the case at all anymore. It's I might get upset scheduling a little bit, but it is what it is. I know that we'll make it through it. So there's no reason to be upset for too long about anything. Just a little bit of a headache for a little bit, but it goes by.
Okay.
He's not upset because we stopped scheduling stuff so he wouldn't get upset.
Talk to the doctor. Hey, you guys got like an 8 p.m. appointment?
Seriously.
Yeah. No, too funny. What about for you, Crystal? What's the hardest part about working with your brothers and like obstacles to kind of overcome to keep the machine rolling?
Oh, I feel like sometimes I'm stuck in the middle of them. With the idea thing, like he's like, he has this idea and I don't agree with it, and they'll both talk to me about it, and I'm like, well, you don't really take sides, you just try to see the logic in both of them, I guess, and I guess that's the hardest part for me.
Okay. You got to play peacekeeper a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. What about Daniel? What do you got going on? What's the hardest part for you of like working with them and trying to like get the business to that next hump,
No, it just sucks because no one works as hard as I do.
Isn't that always the mentality though? That's why you go out on your own, because no one's you work harder than your boss and you're making them all that money.
So one of our guys before nicknamed me the Pharaoh because apparently I'm a slave driver.
Yes,
I'm glad
true.
Somebody else has that name now.
He's gotten better. A little.
Well, I don't know. You want productivity, right? You're paying for something. I get it, but there's only somebody said something to me that you can only ever expect 80% out of your employees what you put like compared to what you put in. They're just never gonna get over that hump, So it's very rare to have somebody.
We'll show up on a job site and I'll be like, this is what I want to get done today. And no one can plan their time the kind of like the same way that I can. But if you give everything, we can get it done at a decent time. But if you don't, then at the end of the day, like baby sister's notorious for like, I don't even want to be here anymore.
It's funny you say that. Is last week I had to go in the field and help with a project because we needed all hands on deck, man. We had too much work. And I got there and I told the guys a goal, what we're trying to accomplish. And it wasn't a goal for that day, but they took it as for that day. So, it's 3:30 and, guys are trying to get out by 5 o'clock. They have plans after work. And they're working really slow, really bummed out. And I said, hey, what's going on? And they were like, oh, we have to glue that other side. Yeah, I said, all right, well, let's take a break real quick. Let's talk. So I talked to Jeremy and Zach and Brett. I said, here's the difference between you guys and me. I said, just to let you know, I never planned on doing the whole other area. We're doing a lift job. So I never planned on that. I wanted to get that ready for the next day. I said, I did plan on doing this. I said, but let me tell you what you guys do when you guys mold. You guys are working a lot slower. You guys are working at half pace because you're sad that you have to do more. I said, people who rise to the occasion and don't fault under pressure say, that's what you want us to do? And they do everything in their power to try to hit that goal. So you guys went backwards. I said, so if that really was our goal for the day, you guys just put us in a very bad spot because, you're working at half pace. I said, so if this was me and I was working under somebody and somebody told me that that's what we have to do for the day, boom, I just moved up to the next level. I put it in hyperdrive because that's what I do. I'm always up for the competition. Mm-hmm. And it was nice to be back out in the field and actually working because installing that's a no-brainer to me. My brain hurts doing the office stuff, the installation aspect. I don't have to think to do that. That just comes natural. And
yeah.
One of our guys, Zach, said that too. He was just like, this is what you do, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, this is what I do, man. I knew the whole process for the next 4 days by being on the job for 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just natural. But yeah, it's hard to get people, man. I worked for a subcontractor when I started, so it was not hourly. Everybody wasn't looking at their clock and saying, hey, you know what, 9 o'clock, time for a break. 11:30, time for a lunch. It was, let's get to this point right here, and then we can take a break. And then we get back, let's get to this point right here, and then we can take a lunch. Or let's get to this point right here, and then we'll take a lunch comfortably while all this stuff is drying, so we're not wasting time.
Correct.
It's a different mindset. So, it's strategic breaks, I guess, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Baby Sister knows the break schedule. What's the break schedule?
Your first break is on the way to work, then you take a lunch, and then your third break is on the way home from work.
You know what? I've got to deal with my guy, and I told him, look, man, here's the deal. We're going to work an 8-hour day, and the state says, I've got to give you 2 half-an-hour paid breaks, or 2 15-minute paid breaks and a half-hour unpaid lunch. I don't want to be here 8.5 hours. I want to be here 8 hours. We're going to start at 7. We're going to end at 3. If you take your lunch on your 2 15-minute breaks, we're out of here. But if you want to make me stay half an hour longer every day, and you want to stay half an hour longer every day, you can have your 2 15-minute breaks, and you can go take your half-hour unpaid lunch elsewhere. And he was like, I'm good being here 8 hours. I said, cool. We got a deal now. And it's mindset. Like, how do you want to get it done? I don't care if you take breaks. You can take a 5-minute break and go have a cigarette every, 6 times a day. That's fine. I don't care. Or you can take 2 15-minute breaks randomly throughout the day. Like, you need to stop at some point. Right. I get that, but it's all in that mentality. How are we going to get it done as efficiently as possible so we can leave on time?
Yeah, we're pretty lenient with our lunch breaks too. So the app that we use, I make it so it automatically just does a half hour, and we'll do more than a half hour lunch because we don't take that first break or that last break.
Mm-hmm.
An extra 15, 20 minutes isn't going to kill us for that day.
No.
If you need that rest, or just, because you're eating, you got to check out Facebook, make sure you download the latest podcast.
Just Floor Academy. Don't listen to those other ones.
Just
They're all
Floor
garbage.
Academy.
You don't need Luke with tile money, or what do we got? We got the NWFA one, and you got the Bona one, and you don't need any of those. Just Floor Academy. They're all. No, I love all
just
those
the
guys.
essentials.
Yeah. No, everyone. Honestly, the community is super awesome for the flooring podcast. But all right. So what's the hardest challenge been for you guys to overcome and get to where you are right now?
Go ahead, Dana.
Man, every day's a challenge over at Preferred Flooring.
I mean, I get that. It's just running a company, but there's had to, what's the biggest hurdle that you've had to overcome so far, where you were like, if we don't make it, we're done. Like, if we can't make this happen, we should shut it down.
I think it was kind of when we switched over from 1099ing the guys to actually paying them as employees, because getting the right people that we wanted was going to take us making that leap in order to entice them to come over, because no one that is kind of worth anything was going to come over and get paid on 1099, because if a lot of the guys over here, if they're getting paid on 1099, they want to, because they don't want to pay child support, or they got garnishment, stuff like that. And it was to get the guys that were worth what we needed them to be worth, was let's make this jump and spend all this money and hope everything goes well.
So in order for us to go
microphone is on that.
You're scratching
away.
In order
for us to go from 1099 to the W-2 employees, the classifying our employees, I think the number I came up with was right between 24 to 27% for the employee, not like what we were losing, but that's what it costs per employee for us to do that, which overall is a large number, and that's why I was skeptical. Like, like, dude, do you understand what this is going to do for us? Production's going to have to go up. There's a lot of variables in there, and that's what scared me is I just wasn't used to paying that much out.
Correct.
For help is really what it amounts to. At that time, I was in the field, so it was a little different, right? But it all worked out. The grand scheme of things is it becomes your new, and you just have to deal with it. And you get acclimated to the additional expenses. You get used to what's coming in and what's going out, and you make some necessary adjustments. Instead of telling somebody you're going to put whatever 4 hours of prep at X amount of dollars per hour on a project, you break it down to a square foot and give them a square foot number for prep for a vinyl project or a carpet project. There's a lot of different things. So now it looks like pennies on the dollar versus padding the hours on prep.
Yeah.
And if you don't use it all, then it's easier to give it back than it is to ask for more at the end. There's just a lot of different things that we had to, or that we as a company had to change, but I had to go at a different approach and had to refigure some calculations, and obviously talk to Daniel for approvals and, hey, let's try this, let's try that. And if it didn't work, then it didn't work. We moved on, but if it did work, then we grew on that, and we tried to let that evolve into something different. So.
No, and it does. The business is going to be an evolution, I think, and that's a good way to look at it. Is that you were in one space and you needed to find a way to get to another space, and you've found a way to make that work, and it does stink. You've got an employee, and I've only got one. And when that paycheck gets cut, and then they're like, "Hey, we got to ding you on the taxes," and I'm like, "Man, I got to match that again." Like, I feel like there's always just more money coming out and more money coming out. I'm like, where's my cut? Like, I still get a fair share, don't get me wrong, but it's a little overwhelming at first to be like, man. But I think that's a selling point too, is that you guys get to go in and bid jobs and say, like, look, we're paying our people correctly. They're actually under us, and everything is protected by our insurance policies, because
right,
those guys that are being 1099, they're not licensed, they're not carrying insurance like they're supposed to probably, and it's just, if somebody gets hurt, it's going to open up a can of worms. And so are you worth the extra, 5 cents a square foot to prep something? Guaranteed.
Right.
Guaranteed.
And I think, so I'll do another one. I think the second one was saying no to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the make or break, because you say no and people stop using you, right?
No.
But yes,
no.
But they were worth losing, is what I'm saying.
Yes, that too. You've got to fire your clients sometimes. That is definitely the case. As you grow, you don't want those same people that were, if they're not willing to grow with you, you don't want them.
Correct.
I met a lady that started as a nail tech, and then she went to opening her own salon. And, when she started, it was like $25 for a set of nails. And she started, she worked her way up to like 120. And there were clients that she would like purposely try and like up the rates on all along the way to try and get rid of them. And they were like, no, you're worth it. And she didn't want that person anymore. But if they're willing to pay your rates, how do you get rid of them and fire them? So it's kind of like you got to work within the system, but I get it. Like, you want to get rid of some, and others you want to keep because they're good and they're willing to pay more.
Yeah, sometimes the more money isn't always worth the hassle, though, and that's where some of that comes in. Some of the companies we were doing work for were giving us larger projects, and by volume, it was pretty good money, but it wasn't worth wondering, I have this much prep that I'm signing, getting all this documentation signed. Are they going to pay me this time, or are they going to just, put me in a bad spot? We've been on the back end of a lot of non-payments because people do know what they get when they hire us. I'm going to make sure the job's right when I'm on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel's going to make sure the job's right. Baby sister's going to make sure the job's right, and everybody else that works with us, that's our standard. That's our company policy, our company standard. We try to set ourselves aside from what the norm is, where an installer would go in and just say, you know what, not my problem. I'm just going to cut around this shim because it's not in my dollars to cut that out. So, dumb stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I'm over exaggerating on that, but I would purposely go the extra mile and do it, and not ask for full compensation of our time all the time.
Yeah.
But then, it got to the point where people were having us do the work, but not wanting to pay us for the work that we did, even though we had documentation saying this is above and beyond what is in our general scope. This above and beyond what you guys wrote into your contract, what we wrote into our estimate. And, it's okay. They got a good floor, and we still have a good name out there. And sometimes it's easier for us to walk away from those people who don't appreciate us, and find somebody else, give somebody else a chance to appreciate us.
Correct. No, I totally get it. I agree. Crystal, what's the hardest part been for like your hurdle to overcome and kind of get this company where you want to see it going and stuff like that? Because you get a different perspective being an employee, but having probably more responsibility than most employees get.
I think for me, it is a little bit different because I am an employee, but I think my biggest hurdle was just accepting my fate in the flooring industry. For a long time, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life, but a few years in, it's like, no one else is going to pay me like this. I know enough now where I can go do a job by myself. So once I really changed my mindset to, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing, everything really changed for me and the way I look at the company, and the way I go about my daily tasks at work. I am trying to make the most of my time at work and making sure everything is correct so that we don't have to go back. And I think that is really big, having someone like that on a job, especially leading other people, to be the same way, to help grow the company and just want more for yourself and the company as it grows.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that.
All right. So I hate to do this because I love just talking, but we're kind of at our limit here. So what do we need to plug? Where can we find Preferred Flooring? Where can we see work? Where can we, where do we get all this Instagram and Facebook and websites and all that stuff?
If you wanted just to talk to Daniel, you could have just said, Daniel, this is for you.
So if you go to our website, at the bottom of, I believe, every page will link you to all of our social sites.
Well, I can't get to your website because you didn't tell it to me.
It is preferredflooringmi.com.
Preferredflooringmi4Michigan.com. Awesome. All right. Where are we going to see you in 5 years? That's what I want to know. Where are you guys going to be? Come on.
Hanging out with U.S. Surfaces.
Oh, well, we're definitely going to do that. That's for sure.
Beers on Kyle next year.
Oh boy, maybe one round.
So 5 years, hopefully in 5 years you'll see us not only just in a warehouse, but maybe one day we'll have a nice little storefront that will attract some more people. The residential scene just really isn't our bread and butter, but we do understand that you got to take all of it as a whole. You can't just take part of it. So maybe in 5 years that's where we'll be at. And maybe Daniel will be in a collared shirt versus his work shirt and not in the field. And maybe baby's sister will have documentation that states that she's no longer an employee. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different avenues that we could definitely go down. But in 5 years, I think you'll still see us here, and we'll probably all still have a smile on our face.
That's one thing I've noticed, man. You guys, you're like razzing each other the whole time. You're smiling at each other. Like you're having a good time here, and I love it. You guys truly care about each other, and I can hear it and I can see it. And I think that's what makes you so successful is everyone's on the same page, working towards the same goal, and you're all excited about it. Nobody's like half-hearted invested, and that's absolutely huge. So
yeah, in 5 years, I'm hoping you'll see our name more across the country, starting to just all these different places and get in there and start helping them, and especially with training, since I started doing that and trying to get into the standards and stuff like that. I want us to be a part of the future of the flooring industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Awesome. Stay involved. Make the difference. That's, look, this thing started out of me not being able to find the info. And, here's people listening to it from all across the world at this point, which is just mind-boggling to me. Like, who wants to listen to me talk for an hour? So you stay at it, keep it going, and make it happen. I love it. I think you guys are on the right track to make something big happen, and you're all dedicated to doing it the right way, which is definitely what the industry needs at this point. Is there's too much miseducation out there that we need to get back to basics and fix it. So thank you so much for your time. I will put a link to the website in the show notes, and you can find Instagrams and work and stuff like that from there. If they have questions, I'm sure there's a phone number on there they can try and get a hold of you guys or something.
Contact page. There's mine and also has phone number, email. Just Google our name and go to the website.
And man, we're always available for questions, man.
A lot of people actually use Facebook Messenger to ask me questions. So definitely, especially on the resilient side, I get a lot of people in my inbox. So any questions you have, man, if I can't answer them, let's try and find an answer together.
I love it. Thanks for being open for that. But if you really want the answer on the resilient side, you're going to have to ask Crystal because she's better at it anyways.
Yes. Oh, can we try and get this thing going right now to where she has to do the competition next year, and then any other ladies that are listening also enter the competition, so that way we can let's get all the females in there and have them dominate all the guys that are in there.
I'm with you. If you know what, 100%. If there are females listening to this podcast, please just enter anything into the CFI surfaces competition. It doesn't matter. It's for fun. But I have a feeling that you do better work than what you probably think you do, and you can definitely get there and show up all of the men. I would love to see a female-dominated competition, and it be all females that win and go and compete, and the men can sit there and try and figure out what they did wrong. I'd laugh my butt off about it.
A showcase, man. You got to showcase some of your abilities, and like you said, the attention to detail that women have that guys don't, and it's just, it is there. It's legit. That is a true statement.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, all three of you, for coming on and spending a little bit of time with me. And I look forward to doing it. And, we'll have to do it again in a couple of years. Make sure you're on track. So
absolutely.
we will talk then, and I'm sure I will see you around on the forums and stuff before then. So enjoy, and I look forward to continuing to talk with you all.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
See ya.
Good night.
See ya.
Night. That's all the time we have for this week. To keep the conversation going, head on over to the Floor Academy Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and most major podcast directories. Don't forget to check out the show notes and click on the link for Stubbi Tools. Remember, code LEARN will get you 10% off from Preferred Flooring, the exclusive distributor of Stubbi Flooring Tools. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you would like to be a guest, have questions or feedback, you can email us at flooracademypodcast@gmail.com. You can help support the show by becoming a patron over at www.patreon.com/flooracademy. Remember to learn well you earn.